Let's talk about networking best practices.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm very happy to join this group. I think there's a need for these type of opportunities for people to join and connect. And when someone has an idea, we can take them to the next level. Just like we did with Mary, met her through this entrepreneurial event, and we connect them to Adrian, and it goes on. But one of the things we were discussing with Adrian, what to talk about with Daniel and Catherine, is like maybe we can share a little bit of our experience of what it takes to connect and engage with people, because it takes a little bit of science, I would say. Daniel, do you agree on that?
Yes, absolutely.
So Daniel and I always run together. We always meet in different type of events, and he's very sharp man, I would say, and we probably know the same people in the entire town. Every time we go out, we are engaging with people. But I will share my personal experience first, Daniel, if it's okay with you. But
sure.
One time I was at an event, and an entrepreneur came to me and said, "Hey, my name is such and such, and I have this product of mine, and I'm selling this product, and I believe in this product, and I just want to share with you, and maybe you can help me, and maybe we can sit down for coffee and everything." And what I found is most of the things that this person was doing, in my perspective, were completely wrong. Because when you engage with somebody, the first thing you want to say is not what you sell, what you have, but you want to connect, and you want to connect in a very humble way when you actually meeting that first person for the first time. It's even better not to even bring up the product or service that you have or whatever you come to mind, or your idea. You want to create that meaningful connection by engaging in a very meaningful way. Daniel, what's your perspective on that?
I would absolutely, by the way, for the record, I just want to make sure y'all are clear. I'm drinking bottled water at this hour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
But, Brian was all excited. Live events are back. I'm attending 2 tonight. Well, 1 live and 1 digital. But, I just left another one. The cat was at earlier today, as a matter of fact. But anyhow, yeah, I think some people say the word networking and they think it's getting a business card. And then other people understand that networking is building a relationship with appropriate people. And by appropriate, I mean people that can advance your cause. And it's, I don't know if the word is science, but there's certainly right and wrong ways to do it, more efficient and less efficient ways to do it. But the principles are not complicated, but people use sometimes the same approaches that they use to making new social friends to making business friends. And I'm not interested in making business friends. I'm interested in building business relationships.
So I was actually reading something very interesting, because I always find it fascinating what makes a person charming. And while I was reading these articles about what makes a person charming, they were actually naming 2 actors. One actor was George Clooney, and the other actor was Brad Pitt. And they actually have 2 roles. Most of all these 2 guys have very charming roles out there in their movies. But the question was, what makes these people charming? Why were they born like that? And why do they actually put them in charming movies? Then the next person they were trying to picture was a mayor, or even someone who is a president of a company or C-suite level executive. And most of these people are very charming. But how did they become charming? So they did an analysis and study of what makes a person charming. And so they sent 2 people into a group of an event. And there were 2 people that went there. One person went and was very active, very extroverted, very funny, very engageful. And the other one was not as engageful or funny or that much even extroverted. But he actually asked questions. So who do you think, and I'm just gonna make a rhetorical question, who do you think was the most like, who remembered the most? The one that was the most charming one, extroverted, and talked to everyone in the room, or the one who asked the questions? Well, I will answer the question for you. That was actually in the study, the ones that everybody remember was not the one who was extroverted, the one who was talking. It was the one that was asking questions. Hi, tell me about yourself. Oh, that's great. So how long have you done this? And so by asking and engaging, you're actually making the other person feel very comfortable because you allow them to know as who they are. So it's very interesting how the psychology works, because people think that by going, approaching, and being, I'm a very extroverted person, but sometimes I talk too much. And I realize at points, this is the time for me to ask the question. And I stop, and literally, that's one thing that it makes me remember all the time. It's not about me. Let me ask this person, find out who they are, what they do, what are their likes or dislikes. And that's something very basic that maybe you can take from this conversation right now that we're doing, is that you can actually ask questions, meaningful questions that can give you a meaningful answer. Once you get that, you'll find yourself in a different position because you're going to be feeling that you are being trusted. Daniel?
The story is told, and I have no idea if the attribution is correct. So even though I know what's said about it, I'll leave it out. But the difference. Someone had dinner with two high-level politicians, presumably in the English Parliament at one point in time, and someone asked them the difference. And one said, "When I had dinner with one gentleman, I became aware that he was the most important person in the world. And when I had dinner with the other gentleman, I felt I was the most important person in the world." And I think that is part of it, i.e. being interested in other people is fundamentally a good approach to life in general. But I also realize that if you're looking at it from the perspective of a trick or a psychology or let me pretend to be interested, it's going to bubble to the surface. I think that ultimately, you can have an intelligent conversation about you and what you do, about them and what they do. But I would say, particularly in the early stages, your focus needs to be on showing interest, genuine interest, and getting to know them. I think that some people, I've seen this before, people think that being in a room of networkers or business people and networking is the equivalent of being in front of a room full of prospects. Not true. You're not there to pitch everybody in the room, either as a group or one-on-one. You're in a room full of prospective prospects, and you need to show them the courtesy of getting to know them and what they do and understanding truly what your value is to them, which may be not at all. But maybe you can have, maybe you can provide them with support or leads, or maybe, whatever. But I'll do coffee with anybody in this town because I never know where it's going to lead.
Right. And you're genuine about it, which is just right. The key is like, you do want to be genuine. And when I'm talking about psychology, I'm not trying to say that you need to trick people, but most important is to think ahead and say, okay, well, next time I ask or go into a conversation with somebody I don't know, let me ask a meaningful question. And you'll see that that meaningful question will turn into a meaningful answer. You start engaging and getting some that type of interest. The next step of that is that the person's going to like you and genuinely going to think, I made a connection with this person. You'll be remembered, you create that relationship, and maybe then you can set up an appointment to talk to them about something that you're interested in sharing. But my suggestion would be for anyone who's listening to this is I meet a lot of entrepreneurs on a daily basis. Part of my job is create relationships, understanding what our ecosystem looks like. How do we build it? Who is there? Who has what type of resources? And so I think it's important kind of like to understand, if you want to approach somebody, like, don't talk too much about yourself, make like Daniel Andrew said, like he was treated like an important person, make the other person feel important. Daniel.
Hey Daniel, I have a question for you right quick. Do you meet for hot chocolate because I don't drink coffee.
Yes. And my wife doesn't like hot chocolate, and it's been a few years since I've had any good hot chocolate. So if you know where the hot chocolate is to be found, I will buy if you will tell me where it is. I'll even treat for lunch, but let's get some hot chocolate.
Anyways, so that's kind of like my part about creating relationships, and I think Daniel and I, we always cross paths, and it's amazing. I admire Daniel very much because he does a phenomenal job meeting people and connecting. He's a connector in our city.
Brenda, you came in a little bit later and I didn't get a chance to introduce you. So if we wanted to segue out, I just want to say hello and welcome aboard.
Thank you, Adrian. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Please continue.
Well, Catherine, do you want to maybe tell us a little bit about, your business and how you actually engage with the groups of people that you see, the type of work that you do, and we're so glad that you're part of this group now.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, you kind of cut it in and out. What was going on?
I'm just saying, like, tell us a little bit about yourself and the type of work that you do, the business that you have, and again, welcome to our group too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. So I am a copywriter by trade, and I help businesses, whether it be product or otherwise, product or digital. I help them get sales by in the written format.
Getting the message out.
Yeah, I'm the messenger, so don't shoot me.
So any advice for some of the inventors that may, have something together and when they're trying to move to the next level?
Oh no, so I definitely agree with Dan in the sense of like it's really important to lead with their benefit. Same thing, same psychology applies to in the written format as it does in the spoken format. So whenever somebody's reading something, in the back of their mind, they're always thinking, what's actually in it for me? So for example, for inventors, if they have like a product or something, oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, so if they have like a product, I would always lead with the benefit. So for example, I'm trying to think. For example, somebody had the can openers for disabled people. I would always lead with that in the sense of like having a can, like this can opener specifically for people with disabilities. It has X specific feature to help with that, and that's what copywriters tend to like help with. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Taking notes.
Okay, I got a note saying that they couldn't hear me, so I wasn't really sure. But yeah, that's, I definitely agree with Dan. The same thing applies in networking as it does in copywriting. Always lead with the benefit to the consumer or whatever audience that you're providing. And even from like a sales standpoint, I kind of track my sales calls. And as of right now, I'm having like a 65% conversion rate because of the, one of the reasons why I think that possibly is because I kind of do a little bit of research on the customer or like potential client, and I'll just always lead with them and like their specific issues. So it's just always just kind of like instead of being like, hey, me, woe is like, look at me, I kind of just lead into like what they're doing. And I think the same thing definitely applies with what Dan was saying, just what's their specific issue, what's going on with them, and that would engage the audience even more.
Well, I'm going to agree with all three of you, and especially with Sergio, when it comes to making that personal relationship first is the strongest way to build a bridge, the foundation of the relationship being personal. When we go to pitch for funds or other things, the approach is to go, as I say, go from the heart to the mind to the wallet. Be personable about yourself and them and this and what the pain is often, and then talk about the solutions, and then move up into discussions about funding and numbers. So there is a science to this fact, because we have such short attention spans. You need to introduce on a personal level, and the exchange there does build trust and confidence, and that's essential for any relationship. And then that messaging is so important as well, because that is the secret sauce. I see Warren said that's he knows how this game's played.
So any questions? Is maybe their way to approach and make a connection?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think Sergio, you're right. I think the networking, as I've seen demonstrated by professionals like Daniel, networking is a two-way street. You know, while you're wanting to connect, the person you're talking to is wanting to connect also. You just need to make sure that they end up wanting to connect with you, and that's why you want to be remembered.
Now, do you have any points on the importance of follow-up? Because in my career in life, I have found that's probably where I've had the biggest deficit, and I probably could have made a lot more substantial relations if I had been a little more active in that area. What's your take on have effective follow-ups?
I try to schedule them when I'm with the person directly. I don't see any point in leaving a Zoom meeting or a face-to-face meeting, you know, even if it's an event, you know, with more than one people there. If somebody says, hey, we should get together, and I say, yeah, I think we should, you know, our schedulers are on us. We don't have to get out some large desk calendar. We don't have to check with our assistant to see if she's put something on it. I mean, you pull out your phone and look. So the first thing I would say is schedule it now. And then when I meet with somebody, I say, when are we going to meet again? You know, is it a week, a month, a year? You know, what does that look like? So I've spent an awful lot of time and had a lot of opportunities drop through the cracks because I left a face-to-face meeting and then went home and tried to contact them about when we're going to meet again. I don't see any reason to do that. Just get out your calendar and book it. So that's, in my world, that's made the primary difference in follow-up. Just do it, and just do it now.
Are there
other tips around that? But that's probably the first place I see most people making a mistake.
now, are there software platforms that let you integrate your messaging with your scheduling so that it's included as a follow-ups included? Do you use a particular app for handling any of this?
Okay. So you've had a meeting and you're planning to follow up not in person, meaning you email follow-ups or a phone call follow-up or something like that. I don't have something there. That doesn't mean that something wouldn't be good to have there. You know, you don't necessarily follow my lead there, but I do have a paper-based system for reminding myself when I need to get in touch with people. And I'm religious about keeping it updated and current so that I know who I'm talking to and when. But yeah, if I don't like messaging apps because I'm not interested in sending a generic message. I don't like the idea of a drip campaign where you meet with somebody once and then they get an email in a few days and another email. Those are so cookie cutter to the degree of almost being insulting, in my opinion. But you know, I want to send a short email that says something personal and ask a basic actionable question. You know, hey, was super interested to connect with you about your new invention. Was interested in spending as long as 60 minutes with you, you know, over breakfast or lunch if you have the time, a beer if it needs to be in the afternoon. is this something we can make happen in the next 2 weeks?
Kat, do you have any systems or do you have any systems or programs that you use to remind it or organize the process of following up?
You talking to me?
Well, Sergio, you answered first. Go ahead.
No, I pretty much agree with Daniel. Some of the things that I have to do, I deal with a lot of business owners. So a lot of business owners are pretty busy, and so just to get their attention, and I work for a city, so it's a different monster, I would say, because they have no interest in talking to me. But once I catch their attention and get a meaningful connection, I always try to engage with them with coffee, follow up, just like Daniel says, and a few emails just to engage and following up all the time to see, how they're doing after.
All right.
Adrian, if I can jump in there, one hack that I use for my meetings, I create an open task in Microsoft Outlook or Google. And that's something that I can push. If I'm unable to meet somebody, I can just push that task out and give it a next date that I would like to have it accomplished. And I can also follow 0 to 100% depending on what the outcome will be.
Right. Microsoft Office has got some good tools for a professional level. Programs like Asana, where you can bring the whole team together. And anyway, I was just curious. Catherine, are you gonna have any favorite methods or approaches?
So yes, I by nature I'm a creative, so I am not a big I'm not the most administrative savvy person. So there's a client management system called Honeybook that helps me automate these tasks and keeps everything in one fell swoop, which is kind of necessary for someone like me.
Right. So you would recommend that? You want to share that in chat or?
Oh yeah.
We got it recorded, but
Honeybug, is that what you said? Honeybug.
Honeybook.
Honeybook.
Book.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's typically for like copywriters, graphic designers, any freelancer really. It'll make you look very good to your clients. I've been told by several of my clients, like, oh my gosh, Catherine, you follow up so well and you're so organized. And Dan will probably tell on me that I'm definitely not. I'm constantly shooting in his office like, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen my phone? Have you seen my charger? Have you da 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 da? So he could probably tell me on that.
Same question to Warren. Warren, you're talking to thousands of inventors a year. Do you have a follow-up system or a methodology to keep track of who you talk to and if they need a reply and if you've done it?
Yeah, I'm old school. I'm pure tenacity. It's critical. But but I do deal with thousands of different people during the course of the year, and that I would just say you do have to have a level of perspective, and I'm sure all of our speakers can speak to that too. Some leads are more important than others, and you also have to know when they really don't want to have anything more to do with you and let it go. So I think that's the biggest thing, is seeing where your opportunities are, following up, and then knowing when to move on if it doesn't work out. But
my standard practicing with networking is after I've had a meeting with somebody personal and we have exchanged cards, I often, after we've separated, write, or even sometimes during that meeting, actually take a note of specific what the topic was that we want to follow up on. And if I've written notes on the back of the business cards, when I get back home and I have a stack of these things, I'm going, if there's nothing on the back of the cards, I know there's no priority. If I've left myself a message that there's something to contact back up on, that's how I prioritize it. So there's different ways of approaching it.
business cards are so old school, Adrian.
Yeah, Well, I didn't get this, but anyway, yes. But it works. And but I use the Outlook. That's become a great tool as well for scheduling and
Well, you know, the thing is for inventor specific is, you know, a lot of inventors have a certain set of skills, engineering knowledge, problem solving, and aren't always as socially adept or involved. So I think the other message here, as I'm listening to all our speakers, is you got to work at it, you know, a little bit, and get out of your comfort zone a little bit, because it may not be feel natural always, but it's really critical.
right, the introvert extrovert phenomena is very apparent, but it's very true. It isn't just about being the loudest in the room, it's being the most sensitive and tuned in.
Listen, because, we
Yeah.
must listen sometimes instead of talking.
Yes, listening. TK,
That's a hard thing. That's a hard thing. It's to listen and pay attention sometimes. Ask a question and listen, and yeah, very important.
that is a key. Hello, TK. Thanks for joining us this evening.
I believe the subject was follow-up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I am. Oh gosh, this is. I'll make it brief. I'll be as brief as possible. But one of the things that drives your follow-up, one of the most important things, I heard one of the gentlemen who I don't know if I've met yet, Warren, is just desire. In other words, you know, why are you doing it? Your why will drive you to do things that you normally wouldn't do. So if your follow-up is critical to growing any business or organization, and if you don't have the desire to do what you're doing, the follow-up becomes even that much harder. I'm just giving you a couple of brief points. I do, you know, 2-hour sessions on this. But the other thing is, one of the things that people are afraid to pick up the telephone. One of the things that I train people on as far as the telephone, two things. First of all, there was a study done years ago. The reason why telephone operators went to headsets is because prior to headsets, people had to actually physically pick up the telephone. And I'm looking at the pictures of some of you, and I know I can see some of you remember telephones when they were heavy and had handles, and you had to pick them up and dial buttons or dial numbers or press buttons. No offense to any of you, but that includes me too. So, so the key is to, you know, one of the reason why the telephone companies went to headsets is because there's a psychology. People don't want to pick up the telephone to do follow-up. So I recommend headsets. Again, I'm giving you a very abbreviated answer. Headsets, your why, your desire, number one, headsets, and a system for follow-up. I heard someone talk about a system. That is very important too, because you know, you can follow up. I follow up with people. Look, I'm helping 3 people build companies right now. One part I have part ownership in. Follow up. I follow up with people systematically until they, jokingly, I tell her, we will follow up with these people until they call the police on us. You know, that's how you follow up. That's how. And here's the thing, and I'll finish this. If you can't do that, find someone to partner with or to pay to do it for you. And it's just that simple. Follow up is key. Follow up is key to growing your business. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I could, you know, do a 2-hour segment on that, but you know, we don't have that time.
Oh, the abbreviated one worked just fine. Thank you for those inputs. Thank you, TK, very much. Thank you very much. Serge and Daniel and Catherine, thank you so much for sharing these thoughts and suggestions and ideas with us. And again, welcome to the South Carolina Inventors Forum, where we'll go through this on occasion. It's been a delight to have you join us here tonight, and we did thank you again so much for your presentations this evening, guys. Thank you very much. I want to talk about USI. I was very proud to help create this organization. It focuses on preserving inventors' rights. We again are believers that inventors have been significant to this country, and the right to prosper from the labors of our mind are something our children should still be able to see in their futures. And the comment I made earlier was that the Supreme Court, in fact, a couple of years ago said that our patents are no longer private rights, which means we can't just sit on them. We have to do something with them. You're called a non-producing entity if you just sit on your idea now, and the patent office will actually allow another company to take it over. So you have to act on your patents. A few other things that have changed. Well, a lot of things changed after the American Invents Act. It's so bad now that some companies have a term called efficient infringement. They know because of the laws being so weak, a company can come and knock your product off knowing that it's going to cost less for them to do that than in fact try to buy the rights from you. And that's really messing over a lot of inventors. The patent office, though, isn't backing the inventors. Instead, they created a whole division inside the patent office called PTABs. And so there's a division that now invalidates issued patents. And it all begins when a corporation challenges your patents, and the process that you go through, the patent is reviewed in terms it was never reviewed with originally when it was first examined. And then they can bring arguments that your patent is obvious, and they've invalidated over 84% of the patents that they've been approached with. So these are people that have had amazing technology advancements, and their lives as inventors, getting royalties, taking care of dad in the hospital and the kids in college, all that gets ruined because their patents are invalidated. And that's one of the key issues that we need to resolve and change in the patent office. And it's up to Congress to do that. What you're seeing here is the three of us that started US Inventor was Paul Morinville, Randy Landreneau, and I. We have met in times in Washington to try to get our voices heard, and did a few times have some success in this. But I've been very active in this because, as that poster says, the greatest job creator in US history was the US Patent Office. So it's very important that we keep these rights and that you become aware of these issues. We hope that you go to US Inventor and read what they're doing, and it's very current. It's as of even yesterday that there's bills being suggested that would, again, give corporations the benefit over the individual inventors. And that's not where the country started and where our forefathers thought we should go with it. So find out about US Inventor if you would, please, and help us fight to restore the rights of inventors and innovative small businesses. There's my soapbox minute for the night. Lauren, if you're still out there, if you want to.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to jump in a minute, but Adrian, thank you so much for all you do. I don't know if all you folks really understand the level of engagement and involvement that Adrian's participated over the years. He's one of the national leaders on this. He spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. Frankly, he and Randy and Josh and these guys are kind of my heroes because we get involved in the education side, but they've just continued to pound away and really had a big effect on the rights for independent inventors. And it's still ongoing. It's a continual battle every day, folks. Eternal vigilance. Big companies, they don't really, it's not on their radar protecting independent inventors. Some of these big tech companies are bigger than countries. You know, I don't have to say who they are, but who's bigger, Google or New Zealand? Anyway, you get the point. They have a lot of resources. They have a lot of connections and clout. So it's Adrian and Paul and Josh, Randy. You guys are heroes. So thank you for everything you've done. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for the kind words, Warren. And by mentioning Josh, we're talking about Josh Malone, inventor of a bunch of balloons. If you've gone into Costco or any stores and bought the thing that loads up 60, 100 balloons at once, Josh Malone's the inventor. And his story is that he got into one of these PTAB situations and ended up spending over $21 million to defend patents for a balloon because it was knocked off, and the company that knocked him off took advantage of these weakened patent laws. And he became, we decided to partner with him. He's worked diligently now for years to try to bring this issue to light. And we're hoping we can actually make it a public issue, because when the people lead, the leaders will follow. I think the time we've been spent in Congress, and I as well, walking the halls and trying to get congressmen to talk to us resulted in tons of platitudes, but not a lot of real appreciation. But that's because of numbers. We're few, but we're strong. Anyway, with this new union we're creating with nonprofits, we're looking forward to having an even stronger voice. All right, well, our next slide here shows we're moving into new opportunities and resources, of which we have quite a few.
Yep.
Let's start off with contest next month. Share it with your friends. Tell your people here in the Midlands area, especially, that we will be holding hopefully a live event. Sergio and Tom are working on finding a space for us. We'd like to do this on a Saturday. It would be a Saturday morning. We'd love to have a film crew come in. It was a delight back in San Diego when we'd have these contests. We get local news cameras come in and people would give their presentations and pitches. The people who are attending actually get to vote. And oftentimes the next day we would see that inventor on the local news channels further expressing their dreams and desires. So anyway, it's a great opportunity to be seen and to show your ideas off. You have to be patent pending or have gotten that in about the last year. If it's been on the market, same thing. Hopefully it's been within the last year. We'll make some exceptions because this is new to this area here. We're going to only limit it to 4 contestants. As things grow here and this organization grows, eventually this will spread to where will be hard to pick just 10. But for now, we'll be happy to get the 4 started. And we already have 2 contestants. I'm very happy again. Mary is joining us, and another one that was introduced to us, Ruby Williams, introduced to us by Mel Fleming with SCORE, is working on a very interesting project. It's a hospital bed with a built-in laboratory. It's going to be a game changer. So we have a couple of contestants and a few more we hope will sign up. And that's going to be in July. So that's one opportunity coming up. Next, you guys heard of Maker Place, Maker Fair. This is a fantastic organization that's gone nationwide, and they have opportunities right now to join their summer camps. It's until July 6th you can sign up, and this is so wonderful for kids to learn STEM and to create things and to get involved with the innovative and inventive community. It's a great immersion program, the Maker Space, and they invite you to join Maker Camp this summer. Here's a real big deal. How many of you saw the movie Joy? It's the one about the self-ringing mom. This had Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro. This was a huge movie, and in 2015, and it's a true story. Joy Mangano is a very successful inventor, and she is going to be starting in a new series that invites inventors from all across the nation to sell their products live on the air and compete for a chance to strike in a deal. So this is a different version of Shark Tank. This is actually about focusing on the inventors and getting them to sell directly. So you can apply at America's Big Deal or at her website, joymangano.com. So there's your opportunities, new ones. I see this as an opportunity. I've mentioned it the last few months, but for many of you, you are actually creating new pet products, and it's because it is a huge market and it's fairly easy to enter. And I'm delighted I have a product of my own in this market. Yes, Tom? Oh.
TK dropped out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Let TK back in. Here we go. Yeah, the pet industry has really grown, and I'm delighted to see some results of that myself. And again, this is a wonderful opportunity for people. This and the senior aids market, of course, with the demographic of people retiring, that area is growing enormously in all kinds of senior aids. As you see, with not just the jar opener, but things that you need and have around the home, all aspects of life. So those are big industries, great opportunities. This got cut off a little bit. It was actually from Paul Grand, who's the CEO of MedTech Innovation, a gentleman I know back in Irvine that does MedTech projects. Anyway, what he was saying is that you need to tell the story. Can we close the screen for just a sec? No worries. This is the importance of pitching is so important that you can have a fantastic product and it just goes nowhere because you just can't pitch it with any enthusiasm or excitement to it. And to that end, it's an opportunity. I'd like you to check it out. Lindsay Brooks on her Open Entrepreneur Open Capitalization and Commercialization Club has put out a fantastic 12-step guide to making professional pitches. And if you remember, Lindsay Brooks is the inventor of the ShamWow and the Slap Chop, and has been on all those SC on TV shows. She made her name and a great career out of this. And she teaches this in her 12-step guide. It's like right from the beginning, as soon as you have the idea, well, how are you going to pitch it? And then when you're making your prototype, well, what would you do to describe it? And then as you start showing it to people, how are you going to communicate it? Every step of the process, she's always thinking about how to make the pitch so it's something that people will connect to and react. And so it's a great guide and a resource for you is this 12-step guide that Lindsay Brooks has put out. Next thing, this is going to be an opportunity for all of us. I'm really delighted. Tomorrow morning, I am having a meeting with this lady, Valerie Torstenson, with the Small Business Administration. She reached out to me this week and offered to partner with us to deliver content and support to our group. And I think this will be a fantastic resource here for us. And I'm delighted that she's offered this. I look forward to the meeting tomorrow and that I'll be able to come back and convey to you what it is that we'll be able to share. You know, I oftentimes share science stories because I think that's the essential part of any new idea or concept is often some new technology that comes about, and then somebody's clever enough to figure a way to incorporate that into an application that or a product that's useful and commercial and can be commercialized. So just as tidbits of information, there's now a new way to create electricity with water flowing over it that's using nanoparticles, and it's some amazing tech. The other one is this synthetic leaf that could be coverings for buildings, cars, any sort of thing, because it absorbs water and carbon dioxide. So not only is it reducing carbon dioxide, it's creating the oxygen. And I've seen all kinds of ideas already for this, from facades on buildings to parks to areas. And somebody said, what's this for when we run out of leaves? Well, on Mars or on the moon, where that's going to be an issue, this might be the solution. Anyway, things to keep your mind busy, and new technology is a great way to find new solutions to ideas. Hope you enjoyed those. Some of the other resources we've shared in the past that are fantastic. If you're trying to make a model of something, you don't know where to go or how to start, Make XYZ is national. They have everything that you need, from the designers to the machines and the printers, so that you can get parts made. Great services on that. As well as on Fiverr. I don't know if you've maybe had to do research and how to get a report done quickly, or, well, I'm going to use that as my example because I've had to a few times put out a report and ended up hiring freelancers that for a great rate and very quickly will give you very professional material that's quite worth it. So Fiverr is a great resource for finding freelancers in all these different areas: websites, WordPress, programming, IT support, database things. So financial, I've described these before. There are so many ways now to get funding, but it still comes back. You have to have the pitch deck, and a way to approach. So just knowing that there's funds out there is one thing, but being able to communicate and contact them, contacting is easy. Communicating is really the key and the pitch part. So here's Start Engine. They help companies raise capital. GoFundMe is probably even more well known. How well this works to bring projects to life. Again, it still takes a campaign that has videos and you have websites and you link things together on social media so you become found and people make their donations. Same with Kickstarter, of course. Founder Suite is for starting businesses. I think that's, excuse me, I forgot who's in charge of that. New Chip, another incubator startup bootcamp. They do pre-seed and accelerator money. So accelerators are a great place to get all of a number of resources in one place, as well as place to work quite often. One of the biggest ones is Inventors Partners. They are part of the Edison Nation, Lewis Forman. Inventors Partners has been fantastic in doing Kickstarter campaigns, launching businesses and raising money, and they actually do prototyping and contract out assembly. So they are a one-stop shop for many inventors. Again, South Carolina is a fantastic place. We have so many resources here in town, and it's been a delight in the last couple of years that I've been here to meet with different people through in GrowCo and other meetings to see there is an ecosystem here in South Carolina, and it is a very robust one. So a lot of ways to help. And that reminds me, TK, as you had suggested earlier, I did want to shout out that SCRA is holding a series of webinars on patents and patent basics. Today was actually yesterday was patent basics, but Thursday, July 8th is going to be patent searching. On July 21st will be how to draft a patent. August 4th is learn how to draft patent claims. For some people, writing a patent is like doing their own surgery. Other people, it's something that they become adept at. So it's great to understand, at least go through this so you'll realize what the attorney himself or agent might have to go through.
I attended the first one yesterday, and it was very well done. Very
Okay,
well done.
okay, that was on, well, basics.
You
So
know, the basics.
you got to know the difference between
About
provisional
ID,
and what's the utility.
USPTO, and what it all is, definitions, everything else. It was great.
Good. It is great information. Thanks to CRA for putting that out. Thanks for reminding me of that, TK. So here through the Inventors Forum, if you donate the $20, we will supply you with a new product development plan, which comes with a score sheet so you can score your idea. I get this requested quite often by different clubs and coaches, actually. It's a great tool for to have a very, very early on, take a look at your project and look at these different factors you may not have even considered. A lot of these are things you're going to realize you're going to have to do some homework to get the answers on. But by judging these things quickly, you might save yourself tons of money and going down a rabbit hole that you just never get to the bottom of. So take a look at these aspects, score your idea. This is part of a process that I do coach regularly. The rest of the information that's in that new product development plan is actually a spreadsheet in Excel. It looks like this. The top half is how to make a working model. The bottom half is how to make a presentation. A lot of that can happen concurrently as materials are created. They can be plugged into these marketing materials that you'll be using. At the end, you've got a demonstrable model and a presentation. You've practiced that pitch down, so you're ready to go. And so there is a method to the madness. You can actually dedicate any of these tasks to names, and you can create dates for these things. It is all an Excel spreadsheet. That's the new product development plan. It's all yours if you'd like to donate to the South Carolina Inventors Forum. If you wanted to talk to me personally, I'd be happy to, as many inventors here in town already have. Once in a while, I would meet over at the restaurant Flight Deck. Otherwise, you can find me on Facebook. Otherwise, my office in Lexington is open as Mary's come in and Ruby and a few others have come to try and partake. I'm happy to speak to you in private about where you're at with your idea, where you think you want to go with it, and how you might get there. Tom is an absolutely amazing resource and connection. And Tom, are there any new resources here or things going on with the college?
Well, this is going on with the college, but it's also going on in the community. There's an organization that I'm sure many of you around the table know, headed by Ron Harvey.
Yes.
The Global Core Strategies, and his wife, and Ron is the COO. Well, they are working with a national firm now that is spending money over the next 5 years or so to motivate and enable Black operated businesses to come back into the high-end malls that these folks property manage. All right, so they've got over 350 applicants now.
Oh, great.
Nationwide to come into the program, and Ron Harvey and his folks operating out of Columbia are operating there. They have a contract to provide the training and content management for that group. So he wants to let everybody know that that's going on, and it's also I'm trying to remember the name, but if anybody's interested in it, I'll send the link out, to everybody through you, so you can put it on the website. But it's one of the first organizations to be involved in this is going to be the Columbiana Mall. All right, and so there'll be a local impact. Okay.
That's really important, and that is very needed. You're also friends with Mr. Simmons and working with that Empowered to Win program.
Yes.
At the school, and I was so impressed with that. I think that's so important to give kids those skills.
And we did a program with my Rotary Club with Empowered to Win with Kelly Simmons. We had 15 students from the Midlands Middle College here at the airport campus participate in an 8-week-long leadership development and presentation course. And for the first time doing it, it went extraordinarily well. Went very well. Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing that continue, because it's a great, again, asset for kids to be able to have those skills, to be able to communicate their visions, and that's a wonderful, wonderful thing they're training. Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Jones, he's always helping us with our video work, and he's running Nickelodeon Theater downtown, which is open again and showing films.
So he's very busy, right?
He is a busy man, and in the video world, creating his own movies and helping others do the same. So he's a fantastic resource. We really appreciate his work and helping us here. Daniel, if you're still bored, you want to do a shout out?
He went back downstairs. All right, so he had to go back down to a party.
Oh, that's right. We got the chat. Well, I appreciate him coming aboard today and sharing with us.
He's got a tie on.
You won't see him in public without a tie. That is his trademark, and it's a good one. He's a classy man, and does a great job in connecting people and understanding where people are at with their ideas and their dreams, and mentally mapping who in town could be effective in working together. So thank you again, Daniel. Carrie Lawson, we don't hear from too often, but she's very active in creating a safe space for women to work in Lexington. It's a co-create space where they have all the assets of a major office space that you come in and find a little place to work in quiet and peace and focus on your next big thing. Charles Prescott, I just actually reached out recently. He helped us coordinate with the founding year of our group. Yep. And we look forward to him advising us further on our next steps here. TK, again, thank you so much for contributing tonight. And from the very beginning, you've been a great friend and motivator. I'm so delighted when we first met, again, that you actually introduced me to all these great folks at 1 Million Cups. So I do really owe a lot of that to you, TK. Thank you so much for your...
My pleasure, always.
Awesome. Well, and
my mantra is to be, if you read my bio, it is to be to successful and to help others to be successful as well. That's it's very important. So but you know, when you got smart people like you guys, then it's easy. My job is easy with, you know, you got smart people you're working with, you know, it makes.
PK, I gotta roll my pants legs up.
Yeah.
That's not always the case, you know. But no, thank you, Tim. Thank you so much for your spirit and kind heart and helping again with the connections you've made and are continuing to make and what you do here for the community. Thank you, Tim. All right, and who else? Well, again, the cast and crew here that have come on as sponsors. Actually, it was Tim Kehoe in the beginning, who was a neighbor of mine, who introduced me to TK. So I thank Tim Kehoe for being a sponsor, and for Foreman, Flight Deck, RF above us, and my friend David Waller back in San Diego, who's part of that committee as well, to join our clubs together. Thank you all so much. And Tom, again, thank you and Midlands Tech for hosting us. I really appreciate you, and I'm very grateful for all this wonderful technology and time that you spend here with us, and efforts to, again, build this organization and help the community. All right, so folks, America's future depends on your ideas. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and y'all have an inventive day.